Yeah. Hello, DFS Catch Game nerds, and welcome back to our weekly Wednesday Catch Game edition of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in Charles, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page, where we've got not just football DFS content, but a great interview of them all. So please check into that, and also check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple if you prefer audio podcasts. So after a wild and crazy week 5 in the DFS world, joining us for his weekly Wednesday Cash Game segment is Charles Sears. Charles, was that a crazy DFS slate or what?
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, it seems like every week we're getting higher and higher in the world of average cash lines, and this one even higher at 171 was the average cash line around the board. Yeah, and the funny thing was all the chalk last week in week 5 seemed to be good chalk. You got Derrick Henry, Mattison did well. I thought James Robinson was kind of chalky, but it is what it is. Devontae Adams got 40 points. CeeDee Lamb got a solid 18.8 points. Even Seals Jones, like being a mid-price tight end, got 9 points. And, you know, he didn't have a blow-up day, but in cash games, like you just wanted 3X or not more on the price tag, and he almost 4X'd it. So you could be happy with that performance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest story was the Dalvin Cook inactive news literally an hour and a half before lock, because not everybody, but a lot of sharp DFS players probably went to their iPads, phones, or laptops, switched out somebody, and made sure Alexander Mattison was in their lineup.
No, for sure. I wish I didn't get busy during that time because I completely did not hear about that until like an hour into the 1 o'clock games. And he went off too. Like he got 30 points for 5,500. I mean, you cannot be going wrong with that. Even Tony was mildly chalky for his price. And he went off at 32 points. So this is definitely it was a very the chalk hit week where you the 3 to 4 options that you had to hit. Defense, Washington's defense, they only got 9 points or something like that. 5 points. It's almost a throwaway, but I mean, like, this is the week where you need your defense to sort of like maybe not hold up, but like if you plug and play like Adams, Henry, Mattison, CeeDee Lamb, Seals Jones, and that's like majority of the lineups out there, then you gotta hope that the 4 other players on your roster are hitting too. And it was pretty hard to I get not pretty hard, but it was kind of easy as long as you had those 5 players. Shoot, Henry, Mattison, between those 2 players got you 65 points. Adams, that's 100 points right there just between those 3 players. So you had to make up 70 points amongst 6 other slots on your roster. So the fact that surprisingly Mattison wasn't as highly owned as he should have been in some of these tournaments, and maybe Devontae Adams as well. That was pretty surprising that he seemed like he was like 62%. Some contests I saw him at 40%. I don't know why, but I mean, Derrick Henry ended up being higher owned than both Mattison and Adams in a lot of matchups or in a lot of contests, it seemed.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, being a Jag fan, it seems like Derrick Henry always kicks off butts.
Yeah. Do you have our heads up from last week?
Let me see
if not, I have it up real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, share the screen.
Do this one. Please ignore my embarrassing balance because I forgot to reload last week because coming back from Vegas, I had a hangover and I didn't really care about anything. But we look at our heads up lineup, we pretty much had 4 different players that were different. Jamar Chase to Antonio Brown, they both sort of evened out. I had James Robinson because I missed the news on Madison, but luckily James Robinson still sort of did his thing. So after the 1:00 games, I had Daniel Jones, CeeDee Lamb, and Tony left. Tony did his thing too, but I wasn't liking Daniel Jones for whatever reason. So in my regular cash game lineup right here, I pivoted to Herbert and Ingram. And I kept CeeDee Lamb in there because that I felt like CeeDee Lamb was going to have a good game. Herbert obviously went off. This is my cash game lineups and like all my like random double ups that I had. And Ingram was probably the best option I saw at 3,200. Like I would rather spend, like, it's not ideal to play 2 tight ends, especially in a cash game lineup. But at 3,200 and a late game pivot, he seemed like the best option out of all the wide receiver tight ends in that spot.
Yeah.
One thing,
Go
real quick though. One thing, the reason why my cash game lineup didn't change is when I changed this lineup, I clicked on the lineup and I changed it, and I thought it changed it for all contests, and it changed it for every contest except for my heads up contest. I don't know if that's a bug in DraftKings system or that's how it works, but that was kind of frustrating that, like, you know, in our heads up match, you know, you're now up what 3 weeks in a row. You know, this lineup would have been my comeback week, but now it's just like, you know, I don't know if that's a thing where the way DraftKings is formatted to where it won't mess with your heads up lineups when you change one lineup and you have that one lineup and everything included in heads up matches. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on for future. Like, you have to go into your heads up matches to actually change those lineups.
You might have accidentally not selected that lineup, but it may have been like with.
I don't think that's a possibility because I didn't really click that many buttons. Like, I click change, and usually it auto generates all the contests that you're changing in, because I didn't go to a certain contest and change it. I went to the lineups page. Like, I went to this lineup right here because I remember I was on my computer. I did live and then I clicked it. So, and then it asked me like what events, and it was my fault that I didn't see the event. I didn't see the heads up on the list that it was changing, but it had the other 2 lineups because it had the other 2 contests that I was in for that week, and it changed those 2, but it didn't change the heads up. So that's something to keep an eye out on. A little tip for anyone out there that's new to DraftKings. That's something I just learned. I don't know if that's, like I said, a bug or just that's how it is. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I imagine your heads up lineups are going to be more cashy than GPP anyways. So I don't know. That's my food for thought. If you can change that, that'd be cool. But I mean, if that's just how it is, that's how they intended it, then it is what it is at the end of the day. And I'll just make sure to change that going forward. Like, go out of my way to change my heads up matches.
It might have just been an oddity with like lineups or whatever.
Yeah, there's some theory where like you don't want to play your strictly cash game lineups in your heads up lineups, or so in heads up, there's a little bit more of a better way to like change your lineups to where like you're targeting, like, say, like, you know, like you and I, we had what 6 players, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 6 players that we both played the same. So like during the 1:00 games, I saw that and it was like, okay, I know CeeDee Lamb's in your wide receiver spot, so I got to change my quarterback in my flex, and that's what I did. But do you want to do that in cash games? Probably not, but maybe you do as well. I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing where it's just when I click the one lineup, because that one lineup's in all my cash game and heads up contests, that it didn't change that. it was kind of frustrating, but I mean, like if that's something that I would have to learn, then I would just have to learn it. Make sure to do my heads up stuff separately next time.
Maybe create like two different lineup. Maybe like create the same lineup, but put them separately.
Well, I think just next time I'm just gonna like I don't play that many heads up matches. Like there's ours and I might dabble like three other ones. So I just make sure to like go in there and just look at each of them and just adjust because that is something like each heads up match is different. Where like, if we're playing the same four players in the 1 o'clock games, I gotta figure out like how can I how to I can't say that word. How to change my lineup to where I'm not playing the same people as he is. So
Differentiate your lineup.
yes, differentiate. I can't even say that word. Whatever. We're moving on. But heads up is a different task where or a different ball game where there is some like you are targeting certain players because you don't want to share the same players so much. Whereas like it ends up being like a 1v1 player difference, and then you just end up or a 2 player difference and you end up having the wrong two or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so now under this week's slate and starting with the Passers, unlike last week, what seemed like a lot of the top QBs were in prime time this week. Yeah, Josh Allen is playing on Monday night, but if you look at it, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford are back on the main Sunday slate. So, how will you start your catch game lineups with QBs? Will you spend with Mahomes, Kyler, Lamar, potentially go low with Mac Jones? So, even Taylor Heineke in a really good spot against a crappy cheap pass defense.
No, for sure. You definitely slam Mahomes. That's why he's $400 more than Murray this week. He's probably just going to put it on Washington. Kyler Murray against the Browns. That's pretty interesting. But we did see the Browns pretty much go for a shootout game against the Chargers last week. So I mean, like that could be interesting. You got Chargers in Baltimore, which is kind of interesting. I think Herbert's kind of priced up this week because of last week's performance, but I still sort of like I don't know, like so looking at the top 6 quarterbacks, I like the top 3 probably the most. Mahomes, Murray, and Jackson. Um Stafford against Giants, like that could just be a run heavy game where he only gets you 20 points. I mean, maybe that's suitable for cash games. Dak Prescott against New England. Bill Belichick doing his thing, being good, a defensive coach and defensive scheming. Could just make, Elliott and Pollard beat them. Keep it close, keep it tight. I don't know. This is definitely an interesting one where like I do sort of want to pay up for Murray and Mahomes this week. Um, Traveling down to the cheaper quarterbacks, I don't know, like I guess Heineke at 5,800 might be the ideal punt play that I'm liking right now. How do you like Heineke right now?
I think Heineken reminds me so much of Max Jones of Trey Lance last week. I mean, True Taylor's not going to offer much necessarily as a runner, but if you think about it, Washington could very well be throwing, and whether it be in a competitive game or as we'd like to say, garbage time, Taylor Heineken could put up points.
Yeah, against Buffalo, he put up 23 points, but he did rush for a touchdown. But he had 8 rush attempts that game. So I mean, like, against KC, that could be a high scoring game where maybe they're coming back from behind. And as we've seen, like Casey's defense or their secondary is just not that great. So this could easily just be a slam dunk Heineke scary Terry spot where those are going to be some of your high owned players this week. Is there anyone else that you're liking at quarterback?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Lamar because I've been waiting to play Lamar in cash games, and by golly, after what he did on Monday night, I want to play more Lamar this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lowest that he's going to be on a Sunday slate at 7,400. He was 7,300 against Indianapolis, but I'm assuming that's either for the whole week slate or just the primetime slate or something like that. So this will be the cheapest that he will be on a Sunday slate. So that's going to be very interesting. I think he's only been on a Sunday slate like what, twice now. So because the Ravens game was prime time, and
week 3 and week 4, because week 1
yeah,
was Monday night in Vegas, week 2 was
KC
Sunday
KC
night,
was a prime time game, and then Indianapolis was a prime time game. Yeah,
Detroit, and then against your Broncos.
yep. Let's see. Is there anyone else down here that we're looking at? What about Wentz? Seems like he's in a decent matchup against Houston.
I
Terrible defense.
think everybody's in a decent matchup against the Texans.
So you're saying like if a quarterback's in play against is always in play in Houston, or at least in the conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Oh man, scrolling down even further, like you got Mac Jones down here
Yeah, especially
against Dallas.
yeah.
That could be a good slot.
I don't think Mac's in a bad spot this weekend.
Max in the what about Mills? Mills down here. Has he done anything though? I guess against New England, he put up 27 points.
Yeah, well,
That's something. There are definitely some options here. You could definitely punt a quarterback. So I mean, who knows? I'm probably going to be like, out of all these cheap quarterbacks right now, Heineke sort of sticks out the most, but I like the price tag on Wentz and Mac Jones. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe like the fact that the average cash game lineup cashing has gone up like almost 10 points every week. Like it's sort of getting me scared to play these cheaper quarterbacks where like I might be targeting closer to Heineke, maybe Sam Darnold against Minnesota. That doesn't seem like a bad matchup.
no.
Man, how's he only scored 9 points against Philly's team? That's crazy.
Somebody, if I could explain that team, I would.
Like they like have one of the worst secondaries in the league, and there's just, like he's like the only quarterback that can't put up points. Like DJ Moore had a bad game. That's just a crazy game. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to running backs. How are you liking the top like 5-6 guys at running backs, all the 7K plus guys?
I'm ignoring them.
You just straight up ignoring them. Okay.
Yes.
Eckler being at 7,900.
I would say Eckler would be the guy I'm most interested in because of his rushing and PPO upside. I don't think the Baltimore defense anything to fear right now. In fact, I think after what Jonathan Taylor proved on Monday night, I want some of that Baltimore defense.
Man, this game was a 48.5 over.
It's going to be in the 50s now.
Well, yeah, it's up to 51.5. And Baltimore's favored by 3. So they're playing out Baltimore. So this is, if they're on a neutral field, I bet you Baltimore would be like, this would be almost a pick'em game. Like Chargers can put it on someone real quick. And the fact that they sort of did their thing, like Eckler, I don't know, man, like 7,900. You get a lot of points with Eckler though, but like he could easily just have a dud game like he did against Washington, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a similar setup where like Washington was supposed to have a good run defense. And Eckler didn't really do that well, even though he had 0 targets that game, which is really weird. But Baltimore sort of set up the same defensive scheme. So, you know, maybe this isn't a running back game. Maybe this is like a Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Jared Cook game. So who are you liking at running back if you're not liking any 7K running backs?
I like 2 guys in the 6K range. One, Jonathan Taylor. Everyone who faded Jonathan Taylor on Monday night, and that includes me, should be ashamed of ourselves because he was a beast. He caught that 75-yard touchdown pass and went off against Baltimore.
Mm.
with 30 for almost 35 points. Now he gets a great matchup against the Texans, 6,600. Colts are back home and
9.5 point
winning.
favorite
Say it
right now.
again.
9.5 point favorite.
Bingo. And it's more of a John and Taylor game.
To be realistic though, the line started at 7.5. Did he get off to 10 at one point? Holy moly. Yeah, like our conversation before the podcast started, like if Texans were 10.5 point favorites, I think I would be betting Texans minus 10.5 or plus 10.5. The fact that it's at 9.5, I still may take the Texans 9.5 because Brandon Cooks is pretty beast, and Indy's secondary just isn't really that impressive. Like they've given up some big plays to quite a few people out there. Okay, so enough about that. So who's the other running back that you're liking in the 6K range?
Daryl Henderson. The Rams are a 10.5 point favorite against the Giants. What's left of the Giants? Goodness knows who'll be playing for
Yeah.
the Giants offense on Sunday, because it seems like everybody is either hurt is hurt or feeling something. I mean, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, the wide receivers. I think even Kadarius Toney might be iffy whether he plays or not. For once, Evan Ingram might be the healthiest Giant.
And he still only gets you 10 points,
Yes,
like
yes.
the bum he is.
So
No,
I
he's
mean,
not bum, but
with the Rams 10.5 point favorite, I think Henderson's the guy they use. Worked out on Thursday night. I think Henderson could be in for another decent amount of work.
no, for sure. They're the two running backs that are favored by 9.5 or more points right now. Rams aren't at home, but I mean, home favorites and being 10-point road favorites, I think are two different things. In the 6K range, I also like Swift and Mixon.
Yes.
I'm not going to bring up Mattison because Mattison is, if Cook is out, you play Mattison type of play. But Swift and Mixon definitely seem like a good game to, like, maybe even to stack that game in like GPPs, or even just play them as like your running backs, because we've seen Daniel, like, DeAndre Swift can like catch balls. He's getting 6 or more targets 4 out of 5 of the games. The only game that he didn't get 6 targets was against Green Bay week 2. He's catching at a very high percentage, 8 for 11, 4 for 5, 7 for 7, 4 for 6, 6 for 6. Like he's only dropped what, or missed 2, 3, 6 balls or 6 targets. Like, that's pretty good turnover rate. He's not getting great on yards, but I mean, or touchdowns with those catches. But I mean, like, 6 catches, 7 catches, that's 6 or 7 extra points that you're getting on your running back position. And the bummer thing is, looking at his yards as rushing is just like, DeAndre Swift actually now seems like a super good GPP play. I don't know if I would play him in cash because he's not getting a lot of yardage, if that makes sense.
It's interesting about Mixon because Mixon was very quiet on Sunday, but I think Piron's on the COVID list, so if it's Mixon's backfield, I mean, true, we'd love Mixon more if he caught the ball once in a while, but I think Mixon on volume as a runner could get there, especially Piron's out.
Yeah, that could definitely be true. I mean, Mixon's issue is he doesn't catch balls. Like, he's not getting targeted a lot. He's got 3 very skillful wide receivers on his team. So I don't know. I guess I sort of talked myself out of it now looking at their stats. Like I like their matchups seem to be good at playing against each other, but like Jonathan Taylor and Henderson seem like a better play right now when just looking at their raw stats and everything like that. Is there anyone else down here that you're liking? Like maybe Pollard or I don't know. I don't know if Edmonds is
Are you going down the Daryl Williams train?
nah, like I'm just looking down at the cheaper running backs. Like Melvin Gordon might be a thing. Super touchdown dependent, but I mean like
How about Josh Jacobs?
uh I don't even see him on this list.
59,
Oh, there he is.
59.
I mean, he would have to catch his targets or catch his points for the most part. Which I mean,
He has been getting some
he's getting
talk.
targets, that's for sure. 5, 7. No, that's not his game long. That's just over. So 5, 5, and 2. So I mean, if he's getting 5 targets, that's nice. This doesn't seem like a great matchup for him. Playing against Denver's front seven, like even with Chubb's out, like that defense is still really good at controlling the running backs and everything like that. What about Latavius Murray?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I am not playing Latavius Murray. He burned
Why is that?
everyone on Monday.
I mean, all because he burns you doesn't mean he's not the play. So what about McCaffrey? Are you going to even think about playing McCaffrey if he's playing?
I think McCaffrey's probably a better GPP play. I mean, if you got him in a season-long league, you're playing him.
Yeah,
But
no,
I don't think I want to see McCaffrey 1 week before playing him in catch.
that's fair. The only problem is like, are you going to miss that boat? But I don't think you will because I think there's enough good value here. Aaron Jones, like he's sort of peeking out, maybe because he doesn't have a letter next to his name amongst these like Elliott, Chubb, Dalvin Cook, McCaffrey. Like Aaron Jones sort of peaks out as being healthy, but the matchup sort of depicts that Chicago's defense, like he would have to catch his balls and pay off his price, which I mean he's getting targeted. He's getting targets. Not a lot, but he gets targets, that's for sure. Oh, he fumbles though. Look at that. 2 fumbles, 1 lost fumble. Yeah, maybe Aaron Jones is probably not the play then. Why is he priced so high then? I guess everyone else beneath him is just not that great.
Touchdown equity.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the targets, I mean, they were working who's their backup? Jamal Williams? No,
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon, yes. They're working in AJ Dillon more. And he rushed for like a touchdown last week. He was someone I played in GPPs last week in my single entry because it's just like, you know what? He breaks off for a decent run. He more than pays off and he got 17.9 points. I think the fact that AJ Dillon's there and they're using him is sort of a reason why you should probably fade Aaron Jones. It's kind of crazy that he's priced this high though. Like I would much rather play Nick Chubb over an Aaron Judd or Aaron Jones. Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat as you, just talking it out loud. I like Jonathan Taylor. I like Henderson. They're super favorites. They're the 2 biggest favorites on the slate. Yeah. Now everyone else sort of seems like, like you're hoping for like 18 points, their average. So let's go ahead and move to wide receivers. Are you going to be targeting Tyreek Hill over Adams because he's $500 cheaper?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm the questionable attack doesn't really move with Cheetah. He'll be fine. I mean, Cheetah seems like I think Cheetah and Adams are both in great spots. I mean, we know what Tyreek Hill is capable of doing on every single play. Devontae Adams just eats. I told you he I think he ate the Bengal defense for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe the alcoholic beverage on the plane ride home.
No, for sure. the big thing with Adams is he's getting most of the looks. Like he's getting a good chunk of the targets. Like he got 16 last week. That's just crazy that he's getting that much looks. I'm trying to see if I can pull up the what do you call it?
Cheetah's targets are 15, 4, 7, 12, and 13.
Yeah, like he's getting a lot of targets too. Against Philly, that was a slam dunk because he's always like, I don't know, it's just man, he got 50 points against Philly. That's insane. I don't know, like what do you think about Mike Williams or Justin Jefferson? Like they're sort of priced up there too this week.
The fact that Mike Williams is more expensive than some of these wide receivers is absolutely befuddling me.
Befuddling, or the fact that he's getting like he's
16
capable.
targets.
Yeah.
He got 16 targets last week after 4 in week 4.
Yeah, that's definitely the most interesting thing. The fact that he's jumped up to 8,100 is wild. And the problem is the Cleveland game sort of like helped project him because like he was trending up. Then he had his Las Vegas game and he still went up $400, but then now he's 8,100. He caught 8 out of 16 balls. I mean, like who knows? Like maybe some of those were throwaway passes though. That like Herbert was just getting out of bounds something, but 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like so far, this is his second 2 touchdown game. How many of the top receivers are getting 2 touchdown games?
Well, AB got one last week.
Like Tariq he only scored a touchdown in 2 games, and what the Philly game was 3.
Terry McLaurin got 2 against the Falcons.
Well, the thing is, like, so Cooper Kupp was the first wide receiver going down the list that has multiple games with more than 1 touchdown. Hopkins, is he up there? No. Like, we're still going to go through it. DJ Moore, I don't even want to look at the stat line. He let me down so bad last week. Played him in the GPP. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp from Scary Terry up are the only 2 wide receivers with 2 with 2 games with at least 2 touchdowns. That's something to say about that. Like super touchdown dependent. Like, is that like a correlation that we can go off of where, we just start playing like either Cooper Kupp or Mike Williams? Like, what about, how do you feel about Cooper Kupp? I mean, he's right below Justin Jefferson. You think people are just scared of him?
Absolutely. I think people are scared of Cooper Kupp because of what Robert Woods did in that Thursday night game against Seattle. But Cooper Kupp's been excellent this year. I mean, he's gotten double-digit targets in every single game. I mean, his worst game is 5 catches, 64 yards. So that's 11 points. Last week, he got 7 for 92. I mean, on average this year, he's scored 25 DK points per game. And the Rams are 10.5 points favorite. So, Sean McVay will have 1 or 2 new plays up his sleeve. Could be a Cooper Kupp day. We saw what CeeDee Lamb did in the slot against the Giant defense. I think Cooper Kupp's an excellent play.
So you bring up Robert Woods at going off last week. What about Robert Woods? Or do you think just the fact that Kupp couldn't get going like the first 3 weeks like he did? Like, Woods, I mean, he had 14 targets. That's crazy.
I think that was the Robert Woods get out. That was making sure Robert Woods gets his targets game.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Man, I think they're the only reason why I would maybe stay away from the Giants, especially if Daniel Jones is out. Is he? What's his tagline?
He's in concussion protocol.
He's questionable though. Won't practice Wednesday. Okay, so he's not practicing, but he's on track with everything to recover. Yeah, hasn't been ruled out yet for Sunday's game. But I mean, like, if Daniel Jones isn't playing, I think I would just fade Cooper Cup this week because it just might be a Henderson show. Henderson and Sony Michelle if Michelle's playing, or who's their third lineman or third running back?
I have no idea who the third stringer
Man, it's
is.
someone, but like I think it's going to be that type of day where it's just like Jake Funk. Okay, never even heard of that guy.
I'm playing something funky in here.
God, they have Xavier Jones and Cam Akers. Man, the Rams cannot keep a healthy running back. It like they got this all-star stud rookie, then it's just like injured. It's just like, man, it's like, what can you guys do? Is there anyone else that you like? And what about these mid-tier wide receivers, like around 6K, like Keenan Allen at 6,400? That looks somewhat appealing, but bad
Somebody
matchup.
explained to me Keenan Allen's price tag, like it's like it never changes more than $100 or $200. It's like 69, 7, 66, 63, 65. He got 9 targets last week. He got 9 targets.
Yeah, but the big thing is like he's on the team with Mike Williams, and Mike Williams is eating this week. So I mean, maybe just Mike Williams is the better wide receiver. Like I don't know if better, but maybe the way the offense is schemed up, he's just working out better for Herbert to throw the ball and get the ball to. Because like maybe he's just that much faster than every other. Because like if you think about it, last year, even beginning of this year, who do you think was a better wide receiver, Allen or Williams? Allen. So the better defensive back, if you have a defensive back that follows a good wide receiver, they're going to put their double coverage and their better backs on Keenan Allen over Williams. So maybe Williams just benefiting from the fact that they have a quarterback that can throw either person the ball, even Jared Cook. But Mike Williams just has a much better matchup against the worst defensive back on the opposing team, that he's just able to eat all over them and just call the defensive back covering them trash.
But does it matter if Keenan Allen's in the slot, because Mike Williams is in the slot? He's more outside when Allen's in the slot.
I don't think that matters, because I still think you're double cover, like even like you're putting, if you're double cover anyone at the beginning of the season, you would have said Keenan Allen on that team. There's no one else. Like Mike Williams sort of didn't prove himself last year or the year before. Like he had his games, but it's just like, Keenan Allen's the star wide receiver before this season started. So people were probably game planning for him. And now it's just like, oh, Mike Williams actually dusting whoever we put on him. So maybe in the more zone type of defenses, they can game plan for Mike Williams a little bit better because you're playing zone and maybe Allen eats a little bit more. But the problem is you have Jared Cook also getting his targets and eating too. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on with Keenan Allen. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he's slowly taking that role as like, what do you call it? Maybe not as old as Larry Fitzgerald, but just the veteran that can, if you need him to make a play, he will make a play. But he's just not the workhorse wide receiver anymore, like he was 2-3 years ago. That could be it. Like he, like 2-3 years
Keenan
ago.
Allen's not that old. Keenan Allen's not that old.
No, but I mean, like he has had injury problems here and there. Like maybe it's just like, hey, let's just not run you down to the ground and just make sure you're healthy. So I mean, maybe that's like the game plan behind the Chargers right now. I mean, whatever's it seems to be working. Like Chargers, I mean, even though the Chargers are 3-2, they're that game last week against the Cleveland, like that was, who would have thought that game? I mean, I bet the over on that game, but like that game was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Even though I bet the over, like I didn't think it was going to be that good. It was just like, man, like this is very impressive. Any cheap wide receivers that you're liking?
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, yep. I can see that. T. Higgins at 5,300. That's a good price for him. And he had a decent amount of targets too last week, 7 for his. That was his first game back, right? Yeah.
I think all 3 Bengal wide receivers are in good spots.
So with that said, who would you rather roster out of all 3 of them?
Can I have all three?
No, unfortunately,
I'd probably take Chase.
man, Chase is really priced up at 6,700.
I think he's warranted. I mean,
Yeah.
would you take? Let me see. Would you take? Be honest. I mean, some of these guys still seem too cheap. Like CeeDee Lamb still seems too cheap at 6,500. I mean, Chase is at 67, but yet I think he should be in the sevens because he is eating.
So if you think Chase should be in the sevens against a Detroit matchup, which is like, so the only thing that I'm afraid about Detroit is it's a Joe Mixon game.
Because
Like,
Detroit's got a bad run defense.
yeah, what's the line on that game? Let's see. 3.5. Over-unders dropped a couple points to 47.5 right now. Yeah, that'll be my only fear of rostering Chase this week is that it's a grindy game and he's not getting his double digits targets this week like he did last week. And maybe he's back in the flow of whoever is open on the wide receiver core is going to eat the more targets. Let's see here. Anyone cheap that we're liking right now? I'm going through the list right now.
Is Nico Hardman crazy for you?
No, I mean, maybe a little crazy. I don't know. Like it, that seems more like a GPP play because Hardman can just easily dud it up for you and give you 6 points. Like he needs to be no, in cash, I don't know if I could play him. 3 targets, 4. He's got 3 games that are 4 or less targets. Like he's only got 1 game with 4 targets, and then 3 and 3. And the 4 target game, he got over 12. Shoot, even the 8 target game, he caught 5 passes and he only got 12.5 points. Like he just seems very touchdown dependent to be worth it. Cedric Wilson, maybe down here against the Giants, even though it's.
What about Nelson Aguilar?
Where is he?
So I think
I
he's
just saw
like
his
$4
name.
grand.
Oh, there he is. Yep. Yeah, I mean Aguilar could be a good pick. My only issue with him is he's not getting consistent targets like Myers is on that team.
Oh yeah, Jacoby Myers. We love your 3 yards per catch.
He ended up getting 5 targets last week against Houston, but I think against Houston it just wasn't a wide receiver game. I mean he had 12 against Tampa Bay, 14 against New Orleans. They're playing Dallas, so they're probably going to air the ball out more. Maybe Jacoby Myers might be the play.
Yeah, maybe Myers.
Anyone else down here that we're liking? Pascal, maybe. Just because yeah, that's pretty much touchdown dependent though. He's only getting 5 targets on average.
Yeah, so now we get to you. Now we get to your favorite position, and is this a week where we eat Travis Kelsey at tight end?
Why not? If he plays and everything's healthy with him, this is the cheapest we're getting Travis Kelsey. The fact that he's at 7K seems like a disgrace. But I mean, I guess he's not really lighting the world on fire. But the problem with rostering Kelsey is the fact that if Hill's going to eat again against a weak secondary in Washington, Kelsey may only get 7 targets, 8 targets, which is still good for a tight end. But it's why pay up for him when you can pay down at 4,800 for Fant, or maybe not Schultz, Hawkinson, even though it's not a quote unquote great matchup. Even Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews at 5,200. Like you save $1,800 and you get a Mark Andrews got an uptick against Indianapolis and his targets by a mile. 13 targets last week, 44 points, 2 touchdowns. Like that's crazy. It almost feels like you're chasing the points with Andrews with that one random game. But I mean, like I don't know. Like, what do you think about tight ends?
I think you either got two options. You either pay all the way up for Kelsey or pay all the way down. I don't think you pay in the middle this week. I think you either pay for Kelsey or pay for Evan Ingram or Ricky Seals-Jones.
What about your boy Cook
Oh,
at 3,200?
Maybe Cook, but he'd be in that 3K group, low mid 3K, but
yeah, he's at 3,200. He hasn't been too impressive this year. Like he only had one really good game. So Seals-Jones is priced up to 3,000. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just a game where you just put in Seals-Jones and you just go for it again. You just run it back and just, he's going to get his targets against KC. Like it's either going to be a back and forth game or it's either a back and forth game or it's going to be a lot of garbage time from Washington. And Jones could easily just like get his targets and get his catches where his price tag still pays off. Like he got 9.5 points last week. 9.5 points at 3K is still decent. You're definitely not scoffing when you're paying that much for a player on your roster.
I would say Robert Tonyan is intriguing to me especially if he gets more targets in the red zone, but I'm not sure he's catch viable.
No, I definitely don't like Tonyan in cash because I would like if I want anyone on the Green Bay team, it would be Rodgers or Adams.
Yeah.
Then Jones. It will be Adams, Rodgers, Jones in that order.
Absolutely.
Maybe like if I could punt Cobb off, maybe, but that's I think I would want to play Cobb over Tonyan as well, realistically, in cash. And I'm not happy about rostering Cobb. So I mean that tells you where I feel about Tonyan. Yeah, I mean maybe Higbee is good play. Doesn't seem like a good spot being that big of a favorite.
I don't know. Is Mark Andrews intrigue you? Or is he more a GPP play?
Who does?
I think Mark Andrews is more a GPP play than anything.
Yeah, like I said, like it seems like I'm chasing the points if I roster him this week again, but this is a game where they're probably going to need him again. Which I mean, I don't know if they really needed him against Indianapolis, but I mean, he did help get them the 31 points. I don't know, against Chargers, like this could just be an all-out brawl where this is just a super high-scoring game. What's the over/under on this game?
I mean, he is coming off 11
51.5
for 147 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's got at least 7 targets his last 3 games.
Yeah, I
mean, still seems reasonable.
So the crazy thing is, in the KC game, he was 5 for 5, but you would think that he would be targeted more in that game than anyone else. But I think that was the Browns, Marquise Brown game. I don't know, like Andrews, like I said, it feels like you're chasing the points, but this also seems like a good game where he should be getting his targets. Like even if he gets 8 targets, I mean, you could be happy with that.
Could he go 4 for 60 and a touchdown?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if he gets 60 on 4 catches and touchdown, I mean, that's what 6, 10, 60 point. No, 16 points. I mean, 16 points like on your lineup is always good. Do you want 20? Sure. But I mean, like at tight end position, it's already a high variance position anyways, where you just, we're talking about playing Seals-Jones and hoping he gets 12 points. So, I mean, like, if you could pay up to Andrews, I would say Andrews and Kelsey would be my high end guys that I would target. If not, maybe Fant, but I'm more than happy to like punt this position off again and put in Seals Jones and just see what happens.
And now we head to defense. So what are you thinking on the defense?
Let me scroll all the way to the bottom and let's see. Off the grip, I don't like any of the low price guys.
I don't either. Maybe you know what defense intrigues me though? Arizona.
Yeah, but Cleveland doesn't really turn over the ball much. Like they're a run first team. Like they're just like old school pound the football with their two good running backs. Like I I don't know if I could play a defense against the Browns this year. Not yet, anyways, until they unless like Hunt or Chubbs gets injured and they're sort of forced to throw more, which I did see that both Chubb and what do you call it? Hunt both had a questionable tag on them. Like Hunt didn't practice. So I mean that could be a thing if one of these running backs do not start. I would probably play Arizona and play the other running back. Wow, neither one of them practiced today. Wow. I mean, hey, that could be a thing where just Cardinals defense. Like if both those guys do not start, Cardinals defense would probably be the chalkiest defense ever. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so if I don't count the Cardinals defense, I sort of like Chiefs defense, but with how that secondary's been playing, like I don't know if I would feel comfortable rostering them. This is a tough week for defenses. Like Texans against Indy, maybe.
I thought about it, but I'm like, I did the same thing with the Lions a couple of weeks ago, and
I mean, the Lions got 7 points against Baltimore.
No, I mean against the Bears.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like if the Lions can get 7 points against Baltimore, the Chargers defense against Baltimore might not be a bad play.
You know what? I think I'd rather take my chance with Carson Wentz that he throws a couple picks.
Oh no. Do you just play Washington's defense and just hope
No,
they perform like Chargers defense?
No.
I mean, so what's going on in Washington? Like, are they just not a good defense this year?
I can't explain. Well, they're playing really good offenses for one.
Because the Chargers got 10 points against the Chiefs. So how good is Washington's defense compared to the Chargers?
Not great in the back end.
So they got -3 points against Cleveland because they only got 1 sack. They got 4 sacks against Las Vegas. I'm looking at the Chargers thing. 2 interceptions. Yeah, this is kind of tough down here. Like, I don't know. I guess I would maybe play Chargers defense if I'm punting. I don't know. Maybe this is just a week that you just pay up and you play like
Indy.
Oh, man, I don't even know what defense you play this week. Indy's defense, yeah. Maybe the Bengals. Nah, I don't like. Are the Patriots really that bad on defense?
No, I'm just looking at the Cowboys making plays every single week.
I mean, yeah, the Dallas defense is a lot better than they have been. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. You use roster Cowboys defense. Like they've given up the 26 yeah. At 3,200 and given up the 28th most points. New England's given up the 28th most points to defenses, fancy wise. Like maybe the pricing here is just not showing in like how good the Cowboys defense is because the Bengals are above them against Detroit. The Colts are against them against Houston. That could be like Colts and Cowboys, I think, is where the two teams that I like on defense. Maybe Denver, because John Gruden's out of Vegas now. So I think I would probably stay away from every player, everything that's Raiders associated, except unless it's on the other side of the ball. I really hope this isn't like a blowout game where like the Raiders, oh, we're still here, like all because John Gruden's out type of game, and they blow out my Broncos. I don't know, like Denver's defense might be interesting, but at that price point at 3,900, I would just rather play Cowboys defense at 32. Like you're saving some money on what seems to be a top 5 defense this year. Maybe not top 5, but top 10. Definitely one of the better defenses this year. So here's a question I'm going to hit you with. So because we have a London game, we only have 11 games on the slate instead of 12. And I think bye weeks are coming in soon.
Yeah,
No?
couple bye week,
Yeah. So this only gives us 3 4 o'clock games where we're used to 4. Out of the 4 o'clock games, never mind, I just saw which one we're going to target. But out of the 4 o'clock games, which ones are you going to have the most pieces of?
Probably Arizona, Cleveland.
Okay. I was thinking it could have been Dallas. This
That
could
would
be
have been.
Ezekiel Elliott game.
I left the low-hanging fruit for you.
Yeah, okay. The funny thing is, as soon as I saw Arizona's one of the 4 o'clock games, that's when I said, like, oh, I already see which one you're going to pick. I knew you were going to pick the Arizona game. I mean, honestly, if Chubb and Hunt are out, like the Arizona game could be really, really juicy, or at least on the Arizona side of the ball. The over-under dropped from 53 to 49.5. But the Browns are still favored by 3, which is kind of crazy. I may start putting in my Arizona +3 bets coming up. I like Dallas, and that over-under is up to 52. Holy moly. That is wild. The line opened up at 47.5, and now it's all the way up to 52. That's a big jump. So you're not liking Denver Las Vegas game? Just a complete like dumpster fire of a game.
Maybe depending on with Jacobs, but that might be one where I look at projections a little more later in the week.
I don't think Jacobs is going to be a good thing. Like Denver's got a good run defense. Like maybe they run more Jacobs games because the offensive court. Who's calling the plays for Las Vegas? Was it Gruden?
I don't know.
That'd be something to look into, because if they have the same offensive play caller, then I don't know if I would roster Jacobs. If it's a different one now, like maybe this could be a Josh Jacobs week where he catches like 5-6 balls from the backfield. So is there anything else that you could think of?
I can't really think of much right now. I'm just pulling over the data, and hopefully it works out our way and we hit the jackpot this weekend.
I know. Hopefully we have another week where we just crush cash games, and it's like after the 1 o'clock games, it's just like, all right, I'm not even, I'm not sweating cash games this week during the 4 o'clock games. That was a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, be honest, looking at my 1 o'clock slate, I'm thinking I could go to bed now.
I know, right?
Not literally, but figuratively.
No, yeah. You could just mentally check out of you could sweat some GPPs or something like that. So is there anything else? I felt like there was another question, but this is kind of a weird Sunday with bye weeks.
Yeah,
is Philly not on the slate this week?
Philly playing them all.
That's right. They're playing Tampa Bay. Oh, okay. So that's a question for you. For wide receivers, you played Antonio Brown last week. if all three wide receivers, and we'll just say they're playing against a matchup where, the average matchup. So they're like 3 to 6 point favorites. That's a pretty big scale, but just work with me. If all three wide receivers are priced the same, who are you playing?
I've got a question. Who's the number one corner on the other team?
It's okay. We'll just say it's an easy matchup where like they're just gonna like we'll just say it's a 10-point favorite then. They're a 10-point favorite. The other team has like they're playing against Jacksonville.
Oh gosh.
Like
I'd probably
all
take
three wide receivers are the same price. Who are you picking for a cash game?
AB.
You're picking Antonio Brown.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting because like I think most people will probably pick Godwin, if anything.
Because AB is more of a big play threat. Godwin will just get you 10 yards here, 8 yards here, 12 yards here. I like AB's big play ability.
In a bubble, AB is probably the better wide receiver. So I would probably I don't fault your answer. I think all three answers are definitely not wrong, if that makes sense. Mike Evans, just because he's Mike Evans and he could have the problem is like one of them could easily just see like 2 targets, and it's just like, all right.
And I feel like Mike Evans could go 1 for 15, but that 15's a touchdown.
It could be like he could be like, is he lined up in the slot?
No, Evans is outside.
Evans is outside too. Okay. Oh, Antonio Brown's probably lined up slot then, right? Because like
Godwin slot.
Godwin slot. It's kind of funny because weren't both of them on the outside with Winston? Yeah, that's kind of. I would have thought Antonio Brown was slot because he has more of the playmaker, like Cooper Kupp. Like, oh, I make a couple people miss, and now I'm going to the, taking it to the house.
Yeah, but Kupp's a perfect slot receiver with his quickness. He's not going to run by you, but he's got that cat-like quickness.
That's fair. That is fair. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you. And you've got your fake pigskin article coming out later, and which our cash games well this weekend. See you back next week.
I appreciate it.